The first order of business is roll call. May we please commence roll call?
Absolutely. 1 second. Okay. Student trustee, Bravo. Student trustee, Bravo. President Kumar.
Here.
Thank you so much. Vice President Ahmed.
Present.
Thank you. Treasurer Nida Manuri.
Present.
Thank you. Chief of Staff Omen. Chief of Staff Omen. Thank you. Chairwoman Hamad. Thank you so much. Chairwoman El Adawi.
So Dahlia said that she will be a few minutes late.
Okay. Thank you. Chairwoman Nadala.
Present.
Thank you. Chairwoman Udaitek.
Present.
Thank you. Chairwoman Show.
Present.
Thank you. Speaker of the House Stancheva.
Present.
Thank you. And representatives. Representative Petineo.
Here.
Thank you. Representative Oyefeso. Representative.
I'm here. Hi, I'm here.
Thank you so much. Representative Ruiz.
Here.
Thank you so much. Representative Nehi. Representative Jada Nehi.
Here.
Thank you so much. Representative Aranda Ortiz.
Present.
Thank you so much. Representative Taylor.
Present.
Thank you. Representative Abdel Salam. Representative Malak Abdel Salam. Thank you. Representative Selvaraj.
Present.
Thank you so much. Representative Almendras.
Present.
Thank you so much. Representative B.
Here.
Thank you so much. Representative Fernandez. Representative Villagomez.
Here.
Thank you. Representative Hack.
Present.
Thank you. Representative Nguyen.
Here.
Thank you so much. Representative Suresh.
She has an excused absence.
Just remember, thank you. Representative Bilbasi Gamani. Representative Sampriti Bilbasi Gamani. Thank you. Representative Khan.
Present.
Thank you. Representative Malik.
Present.
Representative Obide.
Present.
Thank you so much. Representative Henry.
Present.
Thank you so much. And Representative Krisman.
Present.
Thank you so much. Those are all representatives.
Thank you. So the next order of business is reading and approval of the minutes. Please take this time to read over the minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes?
Yes, I would like to introduce a motion to table resolution 2020-F06-1104 until next week. This is the ethics studies resolution, just to give me enough time to meet with the department heads and make the necessary amendments and adjustments.
That would be, I believe, during reading and approval of the agenda. This is still the minutes.
My bad. I got a little excited.
Yep, no problem. But are there any changes to the minutes?
I wanted to quickly say, please review the minutes and please review especially the attendance part. If you had like an excuse or an excuse absence, just make sure that that's there because those are like our records and that's like your attendance records. But that's it. Thank you.
Okay. So if there are no changes to the minutes, then the minutes will stand as approved. The next order of business is reading and approval of the agenda. So please take this time to read over the agenda. And are there any changes to the agenda?
Yeah, I would like to motion to table resolution 2020-F06-1104. This is the ethics committee resolution on the grounds that I still need to push back some of the meetings with the department chairs so I can make the necessary amendments. So a table for 1 week.
Okay, so there has been a motion to table resolution 2020-F06-1104. Is there a second?
Seconded.
Okay, so all those in favor of tabling this resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
All that oppose, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? Okay, so this resolution has been tabled until next week. Are there any other changes to the agenda?
Yes, I motion to add an item for discussion.
Okay, so what item for discussion would you like to add?
Centralized platform for UIC.
Okay. Centralized platform for UIC. There has been a motion to add a new item for discussion titled Centralized Platform for UIC. Is there a second?
Seconded.
All those in favor of adding this item for discussion, please say aye.
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 All that oppose, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? Okay, so this item for discussion has been added. Are there any other changes to the agenda?
Yes, I would like to quickly add another item for discussion, the
Okay.
counseling center. What should I name it? Let's name it Ruth George Memorial. How about that?
Okay. So there has been a motion to add this item for discussion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor of adding this item for discussion, please say aye.
Aye.
Does anyone oppose? Please say nay. How about anybody who abstains? Okay. So are there any other changes to the agenda?
I'm so sorry. This is more of a point of inquiry than anything.
Mhm.
So I've got this like the several amendments that I've made to the other resolution, an old business resolution 2020-F06-1103.
Mhm.
Should I just amend the agenda in order to introduce the new version? It's the same text, just with a new section added.
I think it would be better if we just change it during the resolution.
Totally fair.
Yep. Thank you for bringing that up. Any other changes to the agenda? Okay, so if not, then the agenda will stand as approved. The next order of business is public comment. Do we have any public comment today? Okay, it doesn't seem like it. So in that case, the next order of business is guest speakers, and there are no guest speakers today. The next order of business is ex officio reports. May we please have the report of the advisor?
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone had a great weekend. I just wanted to reiterate that if you haven't had the opportunity to send myself or Keith your academic eligibility form, please do so by the end of this week. Please get that in. And that's pretty much it.
Are there any questions?
I have a quick question about that. So in case our advisor hasn't answered by the end of the week, do we like get some sort of an extension? Because my advisor hasn't answered for a week.
If you are in that situation, just send me an email and let me know, and then I'll talk to you one-on-one.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Okay, so if not, then the report of the advisor will be filed. Next, we have the report of the student trustee. Is the student trustee present? Doesn't seem like it. So in that case, we can move on to the next order of business, which is officer reports. First, we have the report of the president.
Thanks, Daisy. Hi, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well and had a good weekend. So this week, I had some time to go back and like join the Students at the Control Coalition, who are again like pushing both the administration on racial equity as well as police divestment. And so we got an email from the chancellor a couple weeks ago talking about progress steps that they've made. And so we put together a letter in response to this to kind of push the administration a little further again. And so I'll be introducing that as a resolution today to sign on to this letter. We also had a meeting with, and this isn't on my list, I apologize for that. We had a meeting with the directors of the cultural centers to talk a little bit further about how cultural center programming can also be used as part of this campaign to further push the budget on racial equity at UIC. I also attended the Academic Senate meeting, and I expected to speak there, but I actually never got a chance to speak. But essentially, like I attended to hear further about the resolution on respondus. And so they voted in favor of producing best practices on respondus use. And so the provost's office is supposed to be coordinating this. So we're going to follow up with her to make sure that we get to have as much input as possible in this. Now, it isn't the sort of like full ban that we advocated for, or at least like the webcam ban that we advocated for. But I do have like another meeting with the UIC faculty union as well to like talk to them about like why we're calling for this and why this matters. And then they also voted down the petition earlier for credit, no credit. And the provost had plans to send a mass mail, which you probably got earlier today. And so I also like had some outreach from the people who put together that petition. And so I spoke to them about some of the work that we've done. How we sort of like called for this like since May itself, and how we sort of like gotten the same response, and talking a little bit more about like how when the provost attended our meeting, like kind of what went down there. And then after this like mass mail came out, like I sent them a sort of like template, like an email template that they could use, as well as like the list of different like emails of like the academic deans and other sorts of like faculty on the faculty senate who they could reach out to kind of further their cause and really ask like the hard question, which is like why student voices weren't included or were ignored outright on this super important issue. So definitely like not giving up on this note. And then kind of other things that happened at the Senate meeting, like the chancellor mentioned that we're going to like a third wave of COVID. And so they're like really kind of like trying to push students to be as safe as possible. And then the provost is moving back the date for like withdrawal, which again, like that doesn't sound good. Like if you're kind of going to shoot down the CRNC and then tell people that they just have more time to withdraw from the university, but what do I know, right? And then I took some time to also meet with some other student senators from the Senate Executive Committee. And so we talked a little bit about some of the campaigns that we introduced this year, like the respondus ban, as well as like grading policy changes and the ethnic studies requirement, as well as other things that we talked about way back at the beginning, things like tuition reduction. And so they offered like support for our campaigns. One student senator that I met with was like a law student. And so they had like a lot of like important research and like alumni connections that they were gonna send to us to help with these proposals. And they also mentioned that like we should still consider like making like a further case like next semester again for like tuition reduction, as well as like a refundal of fees, because of the fact that like the finances are looking like fairly set for this year, and also like looking towards like maybe an audit of in-person versus online courses and the costs that they have. And then the last piece was that we had planned for this provost panel. It was supposed to happen last week and it's supposed to happen this week, but I still haven't heard back from the provost office, so I think they might have like canceled it. I honestly don't know. It's a little weird to be ghosted by the provost of university. And then last piece, like we've had like our like early voting day and like vote day programs that Student Perks is running this week. And this is like the first week of like early voting at UIC as well. Talia's probably gonna talk about that in a little bit. And then I met with this working group to talk about some post-election programming, specifically like about the uncertainty around the election and the uncertainty of what might come after the election, regardless of the outcomes. And so this is like the Office of Diversity, Student Leadership and Engagement, the Wellness Center, Counseling Center, Cultural Centers, and we're planning on putting together like a series of events for reflection and processing. And so some of it's going to be us, some of it's going to be them. And then something that was pretty exciting was that we had like advocated for flu shots at sites outside of UIC to also be covered onto campus care. And the provost let us know that they are putting like the final touches on the contract for this. That's pretty exciting with Walgreens. And that concludes my report. I have any questions if anybody has them.
Are there any questions?
I have a question/comment. Just in terms of the like planning for what you guys are planning post-election, maybe like plan something that can cater towards if results aren't, like if we don't find out results for like weeks or something. I know it's like regardless of results, but also maybe incorporate that possibility too. So.
Any other comments or questions?
I have a quick question about for what's it called, respondents. Wasn't you mentioned that it was voted on for best practices? Can you explain what that means?
Yeah, essentially, like the academic senate recommends that these concerns be considered, and that like the exact quote text was, I think it's in the minutes from like last meeting, but essentially like they're saying that these like concerns that we've brought up should be considered and should be thought about, as well as the provost office should develop like a set of guidelines in consultation with students as well as the ACCC. So essentially releasing like a list that goes out to all the professors and all the faculty on campus that explains what specific situations that this can be used in and how they should go about using this. And of course, it gives us the opportunity to really emphasize the alternatives that we listed.
It makes sense. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? I have a comment, and this is not directed at you specifically, but what's going to happen now with the credit, no credit, or the respondents now that they pretty much decided to disregard the entire petition? How is the semester going to go? Like, what can we do about them completely ignoring what students want?
That's a super tough question. In reality, like everything that we pass and everything that we kind of submit to is almost always going to be non-binding. So like we could literally pass a resolution that says like, I don't know, we've passed a lot of resolutions so far already, talking about specific like demands and like asks that we want as students, and that doesn't like necessitate the administration to actively take a stance on it. But of course, like that doesn't mean we can't like stop pushing for it and like stop fighting. We are, like I mentioned, right, like I've already like sent out this like email template to like the organizers of that petition. So we're going to be running an email campaign to further this cause. And we're also submitting our resolution, which is a little different, and in my opinion, different enough that it should merit another vote at the academic senate. I have the meeting with the faculty union, and that's something big that the petition signers didn't have, like faculty union support. And so I think a lot of these things really do kind of add up, and hopefully will result in some change. At the very least, I would hope that we get a seat at the table, because I think we've all earned one.
Thank you. And then I also see there's another question in the comments. For the third wave of COVID, will it affect the on-campus students?
That's a really good question. And honestly, like, yeah, it's like right now, like they've scaled forward a lot of the regulations in the city of Chicago. And so specifically for campus, like it's really going to depend on how the COVID rates change. But we also do depend on the city of Chicago's guidelines and the state as a whole. So it seems like they have like contingency plans like put into place, like in case we might need to kind of scale back and move to like completely online, but the dorms will be open like regardless.
Are there any other comments or questions? If not, the report of the president will be filed. Next, we have the report of the vice president.
Good evening, everyone. Blossom, do you mind just zooming in a little bit? Thank you. Cool. So updates on the Mental Health Coalition. We had another weekly update meeting, and I am working on importing the student survey into Qualtrics, and then hopefully the next step through that is getting it approved by whoever needs to approve it at the administrative level so that we can send that out either at the end of this semester or early next semester. And then the step to follow that would then be focus groups to kind of just further build upon what we receive from that information. And then we're still waiting on Ms. Volpe to send the survey to the faculty, but the data will be collected from that as well. And then right now, we're also creating a document of all possible resources on campus and what we know about them. So just to kind of mention again what our end goal is, it's to kind of create a triage survey on the campus or on the counseling center's website, or that can be housed anywhere, like an iAdvise, so that students, regardless of what it is that they're dealing with, that's just a general kind of like mental well-being situation, can go take the survey, and eventually at the end of the survey, based off of their answers, they'll end up with, say, 3 potential resources that they can use and an idea of how to approach each of them. So in order to be able to do that, we need to have a better idea of the resources, what they're willing to offer, and kind of where they fall or what realm of situation they would be equipped to help with. So on that note, if anyone has any experiences or different places on campus that they've found comfort in the past, please do let me know. You can either private message me on like the Zoom chat, or we can make it a point of discussion if there's enough people that are kind of willing to share, or just email me later on. That would be really helpful, because obviously like the counseling center and the wellness center are 2 of the biggest kind of places of support, but I know a lot of things like the Disability Resource Center or the different cultural centers, or even like the Women's Leadership and Resource Center have been huge in supporting students and their well-being. So if anyone kind of has those resources that they've found to be helpful, it would be really good for us to know about them. And then in other projects, and we can talk about this more in our topic of discussion, but I'm sure most of you have seen, and our Instagram reposted it as well, but the fraternity that Ruth George is a part of is doing a fundraiser. It's like a t-shirt fundraiser to raise money for, I forgot the exact name of the organization, but they're a nonprofit that works towards safety on college campuses. So they're doing that already. And I think alongside that, it would be nice for us to kind of create an infographic that can also be shared regarding the steps that we've taken, or the ones that we intend to take regarding safety on our campus, so people know that that's something that we are working on. And then Bonfire responded to me saying that they don't want us to make any room in our budget for them, just because that would kind of tie them to the university in a way, but they definitely still want to build some kind of relationship. So I'll have another meeting detailing that this week. And then Daniela and I spoke about setting up vending machines that house menstrual hygiene products on campus. And then part of that is also a conversation of how we could repurpose mask dispensers on a hopefully post-COVID campus, and perhaps use them for a similar reason. So we kind of talked about what this might look like. where to put the vending machines, kind of how big to make them, and what to put in these vending machines. And then we're hoping to reach out to other organizations on campus, like the one that was previously period at UIC, to get their input on that idea. And yeah, the other two are just continuing from prior weeks. But yeah, any questions?
Are there any questions? Okay, if there are no questions, then the report of the Vice President will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Treasurer.
Hey everyone. So for my report, I had a few meetings, and these were all kind of tied into a meeting that we had before this meeting with the Associate Director for Center of Student Involvement, and we talked about funding and the ethical ramifications of funding. And he's going to be, SAFC and CSI are going to be hosting like a training on November 10th about like funding and going in depth on, you know, like what things can be funded and what can't be and all that good stuff. And so like anyone that, you know, wants to be like involved in, you know, any org should probably join this, whether it's going to be to create your own org one day, whether you want to be in a treasury committee to know how to fund other orgs, or if you want to be in like the SAFC committee to oversee how orgs are being funded. If any of these things sound interesting, it's definitely a training that you should attend. I'll keep everyone updated on the time and the dates. I haven't gotten that yet. So the mask and sanitizer purchases have also been like halted. So the email I received from Keith stated that he talked to Dr. Indiana, and until the PRC committee reaches out to John Coronado's office, who is the VP assigned to address USC's COVID response, you know, if they get some sort of collaboration going on, or the advisors agree to sign the RFF without the collaboration, one of the two are going to have to occur for the RFFs to go through. And another thing is that Wasan and I have a one-on-one meeting with Keith discussing external org funding and how that's going to look. Our, you know, our external org funding might look different from previous years because of the pandemic. So I'm going to keep everyone updated on how all the changes play out. That's just my update.
Okay, are there any questions? Okay, if there are no questions, then the report of the treasurer will be filed. Next, we have the report of the speaker. So for my report, I would like to start off by saying, please, if you haven't already, remember to turn in your academic eligibility form, to do that ASAP, because if you have not turned in the form and you have not contacted the URG advisors to let them know why, your membership could be revoked because this is part of the requirements. So please make sure you do that. Second, I will be in touch with the ACCC to ask them about the representatives who still don't have access to Box. There are some representatives that I met with and talked to, and they showed me on their own screen how they were trying to log into Box and then it just wasn't working. So I'm going to be contacting the tech magicians at ACCC to be talking to them about how to fix it. Um, Additionally, last week I met with almost every representative. I have 3 more meetings to get through, but I did want to bring back some highlights that a lot of, or that some members told me about. So first of all, representatives seem generally happy with the performance of the executive board. Most representatives rated us at a 9 out of 10. That was the average. And some said an 8 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, which is awesome. Thank you guys. We really appreciate that. Some areas of improvement for the executive board. E-board can sometimes be hard to get in touch with. So please make sure to read and reply to your messages. And there seemed to be some lack of communication between e-board members. So pay attention to what is sent and discussed. Additionally, here are some initiatives that representatives mentioned that they would like USG to work on. And I'm just going to read off the list. USG needs a lot more promotion because students don't know we exist or don't know what we do for them. This was a thing that was brought up many times by many representatives. A lot of them said that this is an issue, so I'm hoping that the PRC committee will be able to get on that and hopefully get us some promotion. Some other things were ethnic studies requirement, adding more religious holidays to the USG religious holiday calendar, involving USG and sustainable causes, USG Spirit Wear Day. Most representatives are scared to vote no, and for that, I would like to encourage you guys to vote however you feel without, the fear that you might get judged if you vote differently. Um, USG should communicate with student body more and survey them for what they would like us to work on. Students are pushing for credit, no credit, but administration doesn't listen. Forum for students to directly talk to the administration and have their questions answered. More social events, whether it be in person or online. UIC needs to respond to student concerns faster instead of telling them to contact somebody else. Um, we need to spread the news about international students more. USG members need to be more flexible with and accepting of the international caucus. Campus safety is still an issue because UIC doesn't notify people about all crimes on campus. We are in need of better transparency, and by that I mean UIC. And we need to provide minority students with more resources like mental health help. Yep, there we go. Fun events and more free available textbooks. And I think that is the entirety of my list. Before I move on, I did want to ask, does anybody have any questions or would like me to clarify anything about this list?
Yeah, just a super quick point of inquiry. I was wondering maybe if we could toss some of these onto items for discussion, maybe for next week, since we've already got a couple to go this week.
Sure, yeah. Send me a message and let me know which ones you'd like to talk about.
Yeah, definitely.
Anything else? Quentin?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. So about the sending in academic eligibility, if you know that that has gone through, like if you contacted your academic advisor and they said that they emailed, how do you know that that actually went through, or will it be contacted only if there's something wrong?
I think you will be contacted only if there's something wrong.
Great, thanks.
Any other questions? Anything about the list or about my report in general, even though I still have one more thing?
Yes, I just want to add a quick thing about the promotion. Can you, like, when you mentioned that a lot of students don't know about USG or what USG does, was that a comment from a representative?
That was a comment from a lot of representatives. I think I had at least between 5 to 10 people telling me that, so that's how we know it's a really big issue.
Okay, and what was your suggestion for it again?
Well, I don't really have suggestions, to be honest. This was just issues that people would like us to work on. But I think this would be something that I personally would think would be like an issue that the PRC would take on, because this is like in terms of promotion. But of course, I mean, it's up to you guys. If you would like to get involved in promoting, then that's also up to you, and you can do that.
Yeah. Okay, about that, like just a quick comment. I feel like every committee, like we all have our own connections, and it's not really like interconnected. Like I feel like my committee doesn't have that much. Like I have connections with culture centers and all that, right? And then, like for example, Dahlia has a lot of connections with like her side. So if every committee could like take on that issue, since it's like this big of an issue, every committee could like tackle this issue in their own way, I feel like we could make a bigger impact.
Okay, thank you for bringing that up. That's really really great suggestion. We can definitely talk more about it. Um, I think it's something that we should bring up during or that we should bring up in our chat, or we
Okay.
could
Yeah,
bring
yeah.
up in a separate meeting.
I agree.
But yeah, thank you for bringing it up.
Okay. Of course.
Anything else? Okay. So if that's the comments, then I just have to finish my report here. Um, my last thing is that I met with Matthew and we talked about the USG social. So that will be happening sometime next month. We still are not sure about the date. We are going to send a little poll, like a Google form, to figure out everyone's availability. And we are also going to discuss it a little bit during items for discussion. But for now, I would like to yield my remaining time to Matthew so he could talk more about it.
Yeah, thank you. So hi, this is Matthew. Yeah, so we're planning to have the USC social next month, probably in the week of November 9th. So check your calendars, make sure you're free at some point during that week to attend this social. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know what you guys are thinking. An online event. How could that be fun? But it will be. We are planning to send you guys like a little gift or snack. Um, Probably it'll arrive before the social, and then we can all eat it together during it. But yeah, if you guys have any suggestions or anything you would like to see, please bring it up during the USC social ideas in the items of discussion.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, so if there are no more questions, then the speaker report will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Chief of Staff.
Hey everyone, I hope you all have had a good weekend and a good committee meeting with your respective committee chairs. Um, so, a couple of things I just want to talk to you about quickly. I had a meeting with Fred McCall and Mark Mobley of the Director of Student Engagement and the Director for New Student Orientation. So, we've decided to do a student engagement town hall for Friday. Right now, the tentative date is Friday the 13th. Marketing will be revolving around Friday the 13th, Halloween, spooky, scary stuff, and it's called Candid Conversations. So please sign up. We're going to send out sign up sheets soon. And how we're going to split this off is there will be 3 different breakout rooms. So one for the highly engaged, one for intermediates, and one for beginners. So freshmen transfer students. And there will be one member of CSI, so Joy, and one member from FSL, um, uh, Kevin, and the other person would be Fred himself, the Director of Student Engagement. And with each of these 3 people, we will have one committee chair along with them, or a USG member, whoever wants to take the initiative. We will be talking to students about how to get involved. So students who are already engaged will have questions about fundraising, funding, events that can be held virtually. And beginner students will have questions about how to get involved, what are the new clubs, how to participate. So these are some of the topics. We are looking at some guiding questions. We're trying to do marketing, and we are also going to set up a group me with this different organizations and student leaders at the different organizations. So he said there are 438 different student orgs on campus. So hopefully this group me will accommodate all of them, and we can have more seamless communication between orgs. The second thing was had the second meeting with conduct board. We are going through the data. A lot of the conduct review process is happening, so it is frequently being updated. And finally, I went to Skokie and met President Watson at his home, and we went out and had some lunch. Yeah, that's it from my side. If you guys have any questions, please let me know.
Are there any questions? I have to admit, I love how you bolded the word house. It's like the most important thing on this report. Super cool.
Yeah, it was it was an experience.
Okay, any questions? Okay, if there are no questions, then the report of the Chief of Staff will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Diversity and Inclusion Committee Chair.
Hello, everyone. One second, let me pull it up real quick. Okay, so I attended the Shake It Up series, the Shake It Up event for the Shake It Up series with the Campus Advocacy Network. That went pretty well. It had a really good turnout, and I listened to Erin and more students talk about their experience with sexual violence and their experience with Title IX, most importantly. And they were very, very frustrated about their experience, which made me like obviously motivated me to like work better and policy that school could adopt. So we'll work on that. My committee member Sarah is actually like researching what other schools are doing, and hopefully we'll come up with something very soon, and we'll discuss it with Dr. Chang and Dr. Majna. We are meeting with Christina, who is facilitating our Know Your Rights for Title IX, and we're meeting with her tomorrow at 11 a.m. In case any of my committee members want to join that'd be great. I'll send you guys a list with all the meetings for this week. And so I do want to meet with Erin. I haven't emailed her yet, but I definitely want to meet with her, talk more about her experience. And she did mention that she's a transfer student and that her previous university did adopt policies that helped. So I'm gonna look into that. And I did send emails to professors. Now we're talking about the Know Your Rights for Police and protesting. So we have a meeting with National Lawyers Guild tomorrow at 10. And Amira will be there from Graduate Student Council. So I did send the emails to the professors from John Marshall Law School, and one of them got back to me. So I sent the emails Friday, right? Or maybe the day before Friday. And they did get back to me, only one. And he said like he couldn't facilitate it, right? But we have a different plan for that. So Amira said it's better to just like have a real, like a concrete plan first, and then present to them our initiative, and then see if they can come or not, which makes sense. Okay, and then for the meeting with Amira was today. We didn't meet yesterday. We met today, and it went well. She had a lot of good ideas. We're still working on it. We're still like making the event happen. We're planning on November 5th at 12 noon. So I think that is a good date. I hope you guys can make it. And I was planning to announce the deputy chair at the end of my report, so I'll move that. Oh, the committee members meeting was, one second, guys. So for the committee members meeting went very well. Thank you guys for being enthusiastic about it and invested in the work. And I did send the meeting minutes, so that was good. And then for the deputy chair, I'll announce at the end, but you guys can all see it. Oh my gosh, whatever. It's Rohan. Congratulations to Rohan. And the conversation hour with the counseling center. So there was one today morning, right? And then there was one last week. We had a person join, we had a student join today, so that was good. And I asked her like how she knew about the event, because that's like our main point. We're trying to get people to know about the event. And she said that she actually like went on different like UIC websites and looked for events so she could join. So yeah, it was like a personal motivation. My committee members did suggest other ways to to promote the event. So for example, Rowan suggested that we change the time because international students like who are in their hometowns now, like their home countries, could not join the event because of time zone differences. And I did tell the counseling center, but they had two good points. That one of them, they couldn't change it for the semester because like their schedule can't work with it. And the second thing is that we already changed a lot of things for this event and a lot of like other things that we did that didn't work. So they said they're happy to work with us for next semester, which is something we will be working on. And the last thing is that the flyers for the flu vaccine campaign, they've been distributed to residential, to like residence houses on campus. So hopefully that helps. And this is our last week of the campaign, so we'll see how the numbers turn out. And that is it for my report. I yield.
Are there any questions? So I have something that it's not really my question, but somebody brought it up during an individual meeting with me, and they asked, why is the Diversity and Inclusion Committee in charge of the flu vaccine campaign, and why is it not like student affairs or campus life committee? But do you have an answer for that? And like it's okay if not.
Yeah, I do have a quick answer. It's not that I'm charged. It's not that my committee is in charge of it. I appreciate the question actually. It's just the fact that so before any of like this happened, Wasson mentioned in his report that he like got information that the College of Pharmacy wanted to initiate this campaign, and I just personally reached out to him to be part of it. And then like we had to wait some time for it to like happen and for them to initiate it, and then they got back to us telling us that hey, please like help us out. So we've been like meeting with Sherry, right, and we've been communicating with her back and forth. And so we're not particularly in charge of it. It's just that like it started. That's like the starting point. It was me and Watson, and then it's been mentioned in every meeting. So and it's been mentioned that any committee could join anything that any committee is working on. So if you guys have anything that you're interested of that you're interested in working on, but it's like part of a different committee, definitely reach out to us. You have our emails, like you have our contact information. So reach out to whoever is like working on whatever initiative you're interested in, and they would be more than happy to have you join. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, if not, the report of the chairwoman of the Diversity and Inclusion Committee will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Legislative Affairs Committee Chair.
Hello, I hope everybody's doing well today. I am going to try and keep this kind of short and sweet, but we are going to have a bunch of early voting things this week. Early voting begins on the 28th. I think it opens, I believe at 8 a.m. and closes at like 7. So like there are extended hours just because everything with COVID. So you like they're trying to be really accommodating to everybody's schedule and things like that. So if you have not voted by mail and you are eligible to vote on campus, then I would definitely go and do that. It's I believe going to be SCE in the Illinois rooms. There was a official email that went out today. I was on it, Wilson was on it, Hannah was on it, Taylor from SAC was on it. We worked really hard on that letter, so yeah, definitely go check it out. It was a campus-wide email. But other than that, last week I met with Aitana to finalize some of the Why We Vote video stuff and just make sure and double check all of the closed captioning on it. We also talked about flyers for this week's events. I also met with the Illinois Board of Higher Education as a representative from UIC. They are just working on committee building right now. We haven't been starting on specific initiatives, so as that continues, I'll definitely keep everybody updated. I met with my committee, which was really great. Everybody's working on their own initiatives, or at least starting to. I have been kind of preoccupied with making sure all of the events are finalized for this week and next week. But after that, we're going to be working on their initiatives more so, and making sure those are starting to like move on more than they are. And yeah, I think the big event this week is early voting, Party to the Polls. This is on the 30th. It is scheduled to be 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. We have confirmed Lakeisha Collins, a representative of the 9th District, and Frederic Derosier from Chicago Votes to come and speak. We are also going to be having a U of I Systems and SAC from U of I Systems roundtable discussion on what comes next, what happens after elections, what happens if there is, we don't immediately get an answer from the elections and things like that. So if you have any like talking points that you think the U of I system should be discussing, definitely put those in the like text box. I literally can't think right now. The chat box, sorry. Just put those things in the chat box if you think that you would like to hear something from the U of I systems and how they feel about things. We're also going to be talking about how voter registration has been different across our campuses and things like that. So yeah, I hope that you guys can come out on the 30th. We're going to have flyers going out and all that other fun stuff. So yeah, definitely hope to see you guys there. I yield for questions.
Are there any questions?
Quick question. I'm sorry if I missed this, but what time is it happening?
It's scheduled to happen 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then if there's any changes, that'll be on the flyer that's going out.
Any other questions? I have a comment. Make sure you guys go vote, please. That's all. Any other questions or comments?
I have one. On the Instagram page, can we perhaps do like a, you know how you can do the question feature on the story? If people have questions about like early voting or anything that they would be able to ask. Cool. Aitana responded in the chat. She said that that was a good idea.
Yeah, I guess I don't control any of the social medias, so if that's something that Atana is down to do, then 100%.
Anything else? Okay, so if not, the report of the chairwoman of the Legislative Affairs Committee will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Public Relations Committee Chair.
Hi, is my mic working? Last time it wasn't. I need someone to say yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
it's perfectly working.
Fantastic. All right. So, number one, I met with Dahlia, as she said, and we discussed about releasing the Why We Vote video on Wednesday and creating graphics that, you know, is like a cookie crumb trail until November 3rd in which people vote. And then for number two, I'm gonna put that at the end so we can discuss about social media. Number three, I met with Sarah Khan, my deputy chair, and I walked her through the website because she was interested in the profile picture initiative and wanted to make it more personalized and add fun facts about people. So I walked her through that, introduced her to Red, which is the website platform. Number 4, the PRC apparel form, I decided that, you know what, having Adidas, having a source coming from, I'm so sorry, my house is so loud. Having a source from Adidas wasn't it because it was very limited in items. So I am branching out to custom ink and I'm looking through here. The reason why, so Sada asked me why I am buying apparel and buying USG themed things. It's because now that we can't see each other, we can't really, be like a committee. I feel like by buying things, we can kind of get connected via that and feel like a family committee. So, but if you have like any feedback, like, oh, don't buy this, don't buy it, just let me know, please. It'd be nice. Number 5, I got an email from Daniela about the USG calendar, and I am now in the process of putting that on the website. It's kind of difficult, but I'm on it. Number 6, I attended a CAN event. I think Bayan was there. Hi, Bayan. I asked Ms. Chang, Dr. Chang, and Kelly if they can shoot an email about an initiative I was planning of a virtual art gallery where people can submit their works about sexual violence and share their stories. So that's a pretty good thing. The things that weren't on the report is that the Title IX designs I sent to Wasan, and then I got feedback back, and I am now redesigning some stuff so we can get that rolling. And that's about it. Oh, as for a response from my side for what Anshu said earlier in the meeting, I was not aware that I was supposed to contact Mr. Coronado's office since I thought this was an internal USG thing. My reasoning was that, for Michelle's care packaging initiative, I'm like, okay, this is an internal thing. But I will now set up a meeting with Mr. Coronado and hopefully Michelle so we can get that through and going. Another thing is, we met today, my PRC committee, and we were discussing on our social media strategy because yes, I did notice that, social media is not great these days. And there was a comment last week during the meeting like, oh, social media is not that interactive. So we were coming up with contents and plans of how to make it better. Our committee came up with weekly surveys that, how's midterm, people can choose, and then we give them resources about cultural centers that give tutoring, give healthcare resources, etc. And then we're trying to come up with content because social media does need content, and some of them come from committees. What we've come up with is taking pictures of general body meetings. So the thing is PRC would set up a theme for each PRC would set up a theme for each general body. Like next week could be wear orange or Halloween theme. And at the end we can, take off we put on our video cameras and take a picture as USG and then post that cute little thing. So that's what I have so far. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, and concerns. I'd be happy to answer anything.
Are there any questions? So, Aitana, point of information. Sorry, go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
Okay. So you mentioned that you have been working on putting the calendar on the website. My question for you is, who is in charge of updating the calendar? Not on the website, but just in general, like putting events on it and, making sure it stays updated.
I believe that is Daniela's job, correct?
Yes, that is.
Okay. So generally, like in the past, I know that was worked on by the secretary and the chief of staff. So Tim, are you also involved with the calendar?
Yes, Daisy, I am involved. I had a quick meeting with Daniela last Thursday, and we talked about this, and we said the two of us will have a meeting this week, and where we update the calendar, just the two of us. This is the duty of COS and secretary, and we'll take care of it. Yeah,
Okay,
thank you.
awesome. Sounds good. Thank
Yeah, and
you.
Daisy, another thing about social media, Aitana, you're doing an excellent job. You know, from where we were just like 6 months ago to where we are today, it's phenomenal, right? And we can measure that through followers on Insta or the engagement on FB, Facebook, and like the different platforms that we have. And I just want to say you're doing a really good job. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. Bayan, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I'm gonna quickly second. And another thing is that I really like the survey idea because like it's so hard to get students to do surveys through emails and stuff. So just getting like to know how they feel through social media, that's I think is a great idea. Another thing I want to ask quickly. So Aitana, did you receive feedback from Christina about the graphics?
No, I did not. I got feedback from Wasan's end. He gave me a doc.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
gonna watch it.
sorry, just to also like a point of information. It's from the Title IX coordinator of the university. Her name is Danielle Miller.
Mm-hmm. But
oh, perfect. Okay.
But Bayan, I did reach out to Christina, and then we're commuting, and she says, "Oh yeah, she's gonna send it real soon."
Oh, okay, that's good. That's good. Okay, we're meeting with her tomorrow. So that will be good. Okay, thanks, Aitan.
Any other comments or questions?
I just wanted to say that because of COVID-19, then there is going to be a lot of less things that we have to change of the calendar. Timothy and I have to change from the calendar. So yeah, so far it's only like the committee times and the general board meeting. So if you know that there is an event that's coming out that you would like to have included, or maybe a USG sponsor event, please let us know, either me or Timothy, and we can add that. But because of COVID, there is going to be a lot of less things in that calendar.
I believe there is a form USG has where representatives can fill out to inform us about an event that they're planning or hosting. I'll send that through the group me soon.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Aitana?
Hey, Daisy, this is just a general question. So I think around 2 months ago, I'd sent out three Google Forms. One was for resolution, and one was for events that eBoard wanted to do. I'm going to resend that out to all representatives. I would like all of you to fill out resolutions, potential resolutions that you want to do, and events that you want to host. So please be on the lookout for that. And moving forward, please try to fill out that, right, for all resolutions and events. Thank you.
Thank you. So I have a question for you, Tim. Does that include the resolutions that we already had, like earlier this year, this semester?
Yeah, Daisy, the resolutions that were passed already, I will update that. So we'll have to split it down, right, to the resolutions that were passed, that have not been passed, and that have been tabled. So I'll take care of that from my end. But moving forward, I just want all resolutions to go through that. So just that we have like a record of it, right?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, if not, then the report of the chairwoman of the Public Relations Committee will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Student Affairs Committee Chair.
Hello, everyone. I hope you are all doing well today. It's a pretty quick report. First, I had my first Student Affairs Committee meeting last week on Friday. We went over introductions and got to know each other a little bit. We also talked about initiatives that each representative wanted to explore. We discussed the goals that each one of them wanted to achieve. And I may be like changing the time of our committee meetings if it doesn't work for everyone. Right now, as it stands, our committee meetings are Friday at 4 p.m. If that doesn't work, please email me or send me a message on GroupMe so that I could change it so that it works for everybody. I've also been reviewing different voter guides and information about like the different types of voting, how to vote, where to vote, and like making a voting plan. I have attached a well-rounded, nonpartisan website that allows for people to view who as well as what is on your ballot, as well as some background information on each of them. And that website is ballotready.com. All you have to do is put in your full address just so they know like the voting district. And then they'll literally give you every single person and every single topic, law, tax, bill, act that is on your ballot, as well as background information on it. Again, this is nonpartisan. There are also other voting guides that pertain to like different parties or like progressive politics. If you all would like info on that, please email me and let me know and I can send that to you. I forgot to put this on the report, but I was also working with Dahlia to get Lakeisha Collins to be a part of the voter event that's happening on October 30th. Tentatively, she is set to be speaking from 11 a.m. so 11 to 11:30. So if you all can make it, I highly recommend that you do. In addition, if you live in the south suburbs of Cook County, but you're technically living on campus right now, you can actually vote downtown. Let me see if I can find the actual address. Okay, so the actual address to vote is 69 West Washington Pedway. I'll send the email to Daniela so she can include it in the meeting recap. But you can vote there. It'll have everyone on your ballot from your actual like permanent residence. So if you just couldn't make it back home to vote, or if you wanted to vote early and didn't want to go home, that is an option as well. And then I will yield for any questions.
Are there any questions? If not, the report of the chairwoman of the Student Affairs Committee will be filed. Next, we have the report of the Campus Life Committee Chair.
Hi everyone, I hope you had a good week. This week I met with the Mental Health Coalition, where we worked on continuing work with the website and designing it. And we also looked into any resources that we could include on both the survey and the website in the form of like seminars, etc., classes. I also had a meeting with the president of UIC Hillel, which is a Jewish student community here at UIC. And she kind of wanted to know more about what USG's duties were and like what we did, because like most students at UIC, she didn't really know what we were doing. So I filled her in on that, and we discussed possible collaborations between our two organizations in the future. And I think Bayan, she was planning on reaching out to you if she hasn't already. So that's in the works. For care packages, Joshua got back to us on how many we needed. He said there would be around 20 and 30, and he would notify us when we would, if we ran out. So the next step would be to order supplies and make the packages. So I'll be meeting with Aitana hopefully and making a resolution to order those supplies. And we also had a committee meeting. It was our first official one, where we made a list of our goals and initiatives for the committee this year. And next week, we're going to work on fleshing these out and hopefully getting them started. And in terms of deputy chair applications, congratulations to Quinton. He was selected for the campus life chair, deputy chair.
Awesome, thank you. Are there any questions? Okay, so if there are no questions, the report of the chairwoman of the Campus Life Committee will be filed. The next order of business is old business. And first we have resolution 2020-F06-1103. And Wasan, would you like to present this to us?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Just a sort of, a super quick point of information. Could I read from the like amended version? I didn't like submit the actual amendments because they were kind of dispersed throughout the document.
Yes. So, just for the representatives, just so you guys know, Wasan would like to make some amendments to this resolution. So would it be okay with you if he were to read the resolution with the amendments? Would you like him to read the original?
The amended version, if I need to second that or something.
Thank you. Second would be awesome.
Yeah, I second that.
Okay. I'm not too sure if we need to vote on this, but yeah, sure. In that case, just read over the amended version, and then we can vote on whether or not the members would like to use the amended version.
That sounds good to me. I have it right in front of me. And I think it's sharing. Is it sharing? Perfect. Okay. So resolution 2020-F06-1103, a progressive grading system for online learning. And two sponsors are myself and Representative Obire. And it goes, whereas the student body faces a number of challenges during the COVID-19 pandemic, including the transition to hybrid, remote, and on-campus learning, the undergraduate student government recognizes the strain this places on faculty, graduate teaching assistants, and students. And whereas the transition to online hybrid learning occurred 7 months ago, and while the educational experience has improved, the major issues of equity, mental well-being, and difficulties of online learning largely remain the same. Courses from the spring and summer semesters maintain the same, if not greater workload. Student testimonials indicate online courses have significantly increased the amount of work assigned compared to when these same courses were taught in person. Further, external pressures, rather than decline, have only increased for the entire campus community. And whereas the proposed progressive grading system for online learning, hereinafter Universal Pass, aims to create a culture of healing and equity as we all live through this pandemic together. The proposal is, all students will receive credit for courses taken during the 2020 to 2021 academic year. Students may earn a letter grade of A, B, or C from a point system at the discretion of faculty. Additionally, this policy proposal provides that in tandem with the Universal Pass policy, students shall have the option to elect to take their courses for credit, CR, rather than for a letter grade, abiding by similar guidelines as spring 2020. And whereas an increase in online learning disparities, which include but are not limited to lack of access to conducive learning environments, inability to attend synchronous lectures due to work schedules affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, considerable time zone differences in the case of international students, difficulty connecting with the instructor or other classmates, and reduced understanding and retention of material, amongst other issues that may affect students' mental well-being and consequently academic performance. In fact, mental health concerns have increased precipitously. Depression has tripled in adults since COVID-19 altered the foundations of society. Additionally, the results of the 2020 presidential election and the atmosphere of uncertainty it has created are key stressors that should be taken into consideration, given the effect it may have on the academic performance of students. Students, especially first-year students, are taking on their role with extreme aptness, and this universal pass grading system more accurately reflects that. Students are not approaching university coursework during this unprecedented time with the intention to underperform, but are working hard to adapt and be extremely flexible given this new, and in some cases difficult, online learning environment. Therefore, given these extreme circumstances, supportive action is necessary, now more than ever. Universal Pass creates the safety nets to support students who may otherwise be failing, whether they are dealing with the pressures of financial stress, mental health issues, taking courses while living in a different time zone, or lack access to an excellent educational environment. Beyond protection from failing, Universal Pass also allows these students the option to elect CR to help them focus on their educational and mental well-being. The UIC student body is composed of individuals striving to not only excel, but take advantage of the vast learning opportunities the university has to offer. And whereas faculty at UIC have been tasked with the extremely difficult job of moving almost all classes to a virtual format. Many faculty have struggled with online platforms, have taught blank screens or empty classrooms, and have faced numerous emails from students concerned about their grades. This proposal aims to ameliorate these COVID-19 related issues by removing the onus of extraneous academic pressure from students. This will allow students to better learn through passion for the subject without concerns of failing due to circumstances outside of their control. This should reduce some of the strains professors feel as the faculty-student relationship improves, grading becomes simpler, classroom participation increases, and fewer concerned student emails are sent to professors. This also aims to reduce concerns of cheating and academic dishonesty. Rather than turning to a technological arms race between innovative cheaters and advanced webcam AI software, we hope to reduce the pressure some students feel to justify cheating. And whereas the administration, in the face of declining enrollment and application numbers, would also see an increase in retention of their students. These students will be more accustomed to online learning and better prepared for success. This proposal aims to be a temporary response to the crisis we find ourselves in, and it is the responsibility of the entire campus community to develop or endorse creative solutions to these pressing issues. In-person learning allows for some measure of equity through equal access to campus resources, but the transition to mainly online learning furthers inequalities where equal access to equal resources may be more difficult to accomplish. Despite best efforts, the current systems are not working for everyone. And whereas MIT, alongside other universities, are providing academic provisions and safety nets for the fall 2020 semester. As of October 23rd, over 3,600 signatories have signed on to a letter asking for grading policy changes at UIC for the fall 2020 semester. Clearly, the need for change exists. The spring 2020 grading policy changes were much appreciated, and this proposal aims to build upon those changes by providing students safety and equity during the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas an August report by the National Institute for Learning Outcomes Assessment, authored by a UIUC faculty member, which surveyed hundreds of colleges nationwide, produced the following lists of do's and don'ts. That is said list. At the highest level, Universal Pass would engage all 5 do points and address all 5 do not points. To emphasize do not number 3, we as students, do not number 3 essentially says, do not ask students for their approval of a decision that has already been made. Instead, engage with them in advance to help determine a solution. So to emphasize do not number 3, we as students are actively reaching out so as to partake in the dialogue and be a part of the conversation, a push we've been making throughout this pandemic. It also presents UIC the opportunity to spearhead a grading policy that improves the well-being and success of all students, faculty, and staff. Then, let it be resolved that USG endorses the Universal Pass grading system as described in paragraph 3. This proposal serves as a means to relieve some of the consequential, unwarranted pressures of learning in the midst of a global pandemic, and aims to be a temporary response to promote a healthy learning environment. A list of frequently asked questions may be found in Appendix A. A list of select student testimonials can be found in Appendix B. A list of select faculty letters of support provided by administrators and academic advisors asked to provide critical feedback can be found in Appendix C. A growing list of colleges and universities that have adopted grading policy changes for fall 2020 can be found in Appendix D. Let it be further resolved that we recognize that there is no perfect one-size-fits-all solution to the situation, but this universal pass system would do the least harm and create the greatest benefit to students, faculty, and administrators. We are open to the development of alternative, progressive grading systems to suit the unique needs of the student body in this pandemic, and are open to developing an alternative alongside the administration. However, inaction is not an option. And then, before I open for discussion, just wanted to highlight in Appendix A, we talk all about so what this would mean, how you might kind of have students who might feel unmotivated. That's clearly a valid objection, and we address that here. We also address how this might affect postgraduate and both admissions as well as employment for all students, how this would affect ABET accreditation for the university, and also a spoiler alert for this point, it would really not affect any students. Talking about students who have already worked hard to pass their classes, we talk about that. We talk about students who might seem quote unquote unqualified to pass, and we kind of address that objection as well as things about financial aid and things professors might need to do to address it. So just putting that out there. Thank you, and I yield to questions.
Okay, so I would like to open up the floor for discussion. And are there any questions or comments regarding this resolution?
Yeah, I have a general question that I want to ask. Given how the administration turned down the previous proposal we had for a universal grading policy, what makes you think, with all due respect, of course, that they'll pass this one and take it up?
It's a great question. And so I personally, I do expect a lot more pushback for this than even the previous petition for CRNC to return. This does address some of the concerns that the provost brought up, would all students just opt in to do CR and then you'd no longer have any grades, stuff like that. Things that we do make sure to talk about. One important thing that I do want to recognize is, of course, USG resolutions do have a certain amount of a weight to them. That's a little different than a petition, right? Petitions are also often kind of written more of an emotional appeal, if you will. It talks a lot about situations, which is so important, right? Really humanizing the situation, the problems that students are facing, why this is so important to them, right? And that plays really well. So we talk about that. We include that in our section for student testimonials. At the same time, though, right, when you're putting this in front of the faculty senate or you're putting this in front of the deans of all the academic colleges, they might not care so much. It's a little callous, but they might not care as much. So we put forth a lot of really good arguments, and it's been vetted by several academic liaisons. This has been vetted by law students. This has been vetted by organizers. So people have read through this and they see the arguments are good. So I think we have a good shot, and if not now, then when is the question.
Okay, and a follow-up, if I may.
Yeah.
You said at the end of the resolution that you're obviously open for development and more kind of changes and amendments to this. What amendments or changes do you foresee that they might make?
That's a good question. I think that I honestly wouldn't be able to tell you. I don't know what they would have in mind, but I really want to go in with an open mind and say that, look, we've been talking about this since the beginning of May, and we've been asking for these things to happen, especially from USG side. We've been doing this for a long time now. and to really no avail. And so we would like, at the very least, to have our efforts recognized and to, of course, be given a seat at the table, one that I believe that we've rightfully earned.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so before we move on, just a reminder that this resolution that was on read is actually the one with the amendments in it. So we would have to vote on whether or not you guys agree with these amendments and whether or not you would like to continue discussing and eventually vote on the amended resolution. So we're going to have to vote on this amendment. I move that we vote on the amendments that are made on this resolution. I need a second.
I'll second that.
It has been moved and seconded, and all those in favor of making those amendments to the resolution, please say aye.
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 All that oppose, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? Okay, so the amendment has passed, and we will be now talking about this resolution. And also another reminder, please make sure to raise your hand if you can, or if not, leave a comment in the chat. But are there any other comments, questions, suggestions, or amendments to this resolution? And just a reminder that we will be voting on this tonight.
I have a question. I'm trying to read through it. Is this the one that's attached in box or like the?
Yeah, sorry. The amended version is really the same as the original version. It just has like one extra section at the end. So if you're looking for a specific part, it should all be there.
I can answer that. So the amended version is not on box, but I will make sure to upload it after the meeting. Or would you guys like me to upload it now so you guys can see it?
I'm good.
Okay. Any other comments or questions?
I have a question. So after we vote for this, and I hope that we all vote for yes, then when this resolution passes on, is it going to be strictly going towards the provost or the faculty senate, or which group is it going to be addressed to specifically?
Yeah, so my first plan is, of course, to send this to the provost office as well as the deans, because she does meet with her sort of like dean's advisory council to talk about these issues. And then also sending it to the Senate coordinator, Elizabeth Dooley. And the thing is, the next Senate meeting is on December 3rd, so it is a bit of a ways away. Thanksgiving just so happens to kind of come in the way of these plans. So the thing is, there is a Senate Executive Committee meeting, which is going to happen this Thursday. And so actually one of the people who read this resolution over was a member of the Senate Executive Committee and was very much in favor of like advocating on behalf of this. So that committee also like consists of the chancellor and the provost. So I plan to send this, if this passes tonight, I plan to send this tomorrow morning, and it'll be read at that meeting on Thursday.
Point of information, Wasan, would we be able to attend said meeting?
That's a good question. I don't think so, because the Senate Executive Committee meetings, I believe, are closed only to Senate Executive Committee members, but we can attend the general ones, which would happen with a larger body.
Sounds good. Thank you. Are there any other comments, questions, suggestions? Okay, so in that case, we can move on to voting. All those in favor of adopting Resolution 2020-F06-1103, please say aye.
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 All that oppose, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? Okay, the resolution has passed. Give me 1 second. Our next resolution is Resolution 2020-F5-403. So, Aitana, do you think you could present this for us, please?
Yes, of course. Okay. Let me go find it.
Wasan, do you think you could pull it up, please?
Oh, sorry, is it not showing? It's showing up on my screen.
No, we see the Universal Pass Word doc.
Sorry, let me just restart it then.
No problem.
Okay.
Thank you. So, Resolution 2020 F5403, the purchase of COVID-19 related materials, Part 2. Whereas, in addition to the purchase of COVID-19 supplies in the 2020 F1402 resolution, this new resolution deals with purchasing a stand that will help distribute the items bought. Let it be resolved, PRC shall purchase these items. There will be 3 items, which is just like the hygiene stations, for a total of $974 from Amazon. And I've listed the description of the items below, as well as a screenshot from what Amazon describes the item. Could you go to the second page, Wasan? Thank you. That is what the item looks like. I know somebody recommended to bring like an image and also like a scanner, so that's what I plan to input on the image thingy over there. And then for an approximate total of $1,052, counting tax and shipping, let it be further resolved that these items will aid in UIC's COVID-19 safety precaution efforts.
Okay, so I will open up the floor for discussion. And remember that we will also vote on this at this meeting. So if you have any questions or comments or amendments, please let us know. Anything? So I do have a very small amendment that I would like to propose. It's just like a little bit of a logistics issue. But the title of this resolution, I think it should say 2020-F6-403 because it was proposed in meeting 6. It's just a very small thing. But I would like to motion to change it. So I motion to change the name of the resolution from 2020-F5-403 to 2020-F6-403. Does anyone second?
I second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. So all those in favor of changing the name of the resolution, please say aye.
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 All that oppose, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? Okay, so the name change has passed. Thank you. Does anyone have any other comments or questions, amendments? Megan?
Yeah, hi. Sorry. Just with like everything else that's COVID related, do we know if we should wait until PRC has talked to the VP for COVID relief, or are we?
Actually, I was going to ask if we can table this resolution until next week, because as brought up by Anshu, we are unsure if the purchases will go through. So I'm not allowed to motion, right?
I think you can.
Okay, may I motion to table this resolution until next week, please?
Seconded.
Okay, so it has been motioned and seconded to table this resolution until next week. All those in favor of tabling it, please say aye.
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 All that oppose, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? Okay, so this resolution has been tabled until the next meeting. Our next, wait, hold on, give me 1 second. Okay, the next order of business is new business, and we have resolution 2020-F07-1105. Wasan, would you like to read this, please?
Yeah, thanks. So this resolution is called In Support of Racial Equity at UIC, and it reads, whereas the Good Trouble Coalition, comprised of the Black Graduate Student Association, Graduate Employees Organization, UIC United Faculty, and UIC Undergraduate Student Government, drafted an open letter to UIC administration in response to the Chancellor's proposed steps towards racial equity at UIC. Appendix A lists some of their questions, and Appendix B includes a scorecard representing the response of UIC's higher administration to student demands. The letter then goes on to demand the following. 1, address all of these questions through a public format that engages students, faculty, and staff. 2, provide a written follow-up on the above questions and concerns. And 3, publish an outline of how your initial changes will be implemented to promote transparency. A link to their letter can be found here. Then let it be resolved that USG supports the call of these activists in pushing for a change towards a more racially equitable UIC and signs on to their letter. And so some of the questions, just to read them out, we're talking about like so they plan to hire more counselors, and so how will you ensure that the counselors are culturally responsive and trauma informed and equitably compensated? How will students and community members be included in this sort of process to diversify faculty? Talking about like the new Bridge to Faculty program and how this would guarantee tenure track for the people that are accepted, and then talking a little bit about how we might be able to address demands through this like new office that they've put together called the Office of Community Collaboration. And then talking about accountability towards these changes, as well as talking a little bit more about transparency, and then the response to some of the unmet demands, specifically about divestment and other sorts of things. And then the scorecard's like pretty negative, I'd say.
Okay, so I would like to open up the floor for discussion. And does anyone have any comments, questions? And this will be voted on next week, so you guys still have time to think about it. Also, just one small comment. I think we should refrain from using links in the resolutions because years from now those links could be gone. So I think it would be better if we were to just post whatever the link is taking us to. I think it would be better to just include that text itself in the resolution. That's just a small comment. But does anyone have anything else? Okay, so it doesn't seem like there are any other comments, and in this case, we'll be voting on this resolution next week. And our next order of business is items for discussion. So first we have the USG social. So Matthew, would you like to talk about the USG social a little more?
Yes, so we are planning the USC social. Just to reinstate what I said earlier, we are planning to have this on the week of November 9th, so that is 2 weeks from now. Yeah, somewhere between the 9th and the 13th. So do you guys have any suggestions for like what you would like to do at the USC social? Like maybe what we should not do?
Not to put you on the spot, but Truman and I took had some really good ideas on like cool, like kind of like problem solving, like puzzle solving workshops that we could do. She could definitely speak more about it than I could.
How would you guys feel about a game of Among Us?
Still never played.
You're missing out.
Well, I guess
That's
it'll
what
be
I
your
heard.
first time then.
Are there any suggestions for what you would like to do during the social? Like, would you like to like watch movies or do some team building stuff or anything else?
Mafia is a fun game. Do you guys know what Mafia is? So the USC social will it'll be over Zoom. We'll send the link. Once everything's finalized, we'll send it to you guys over email.
Yeah, so another thing that we were thinking about is things that we could send via the mail, like actually ship things out to you. So what do you think about that, and what are some things that you might be interested in receiving?
So to answer Mohammed's question, at what time, that'll be decided once we send out the poll and get your guys' availability. And yes, we will be sending out food.
Yep. So the Google form will actually be sent later, either today or tomorrow. And please try to fill it out by next Monday so we could decide on the date.
Also, yeah, we do plan to have like we'll get to know each other more activities. So like, if you guys have any questions you would like to ask one another, like questions for like a point of discussion during the social, you guys can tell me now or email me.
Yes, you can reach out to Matthew or myself also if there's any suggestions, ideas, comments, anything that you would like to discuss more. So yeah, just remember to fill out the form. And Matthew, do you have anything else before we move on?
Yeah, I said mailing out supplies for follow along craft. I think that'd be fun. I was actually thinking just now like we could send Clado if that's even possible, and then we can see who can craft the best sculpture. Yes, stuff like that. But that's all for me.
Okay, so does anyone have any comments or questions before we move on? Okay, so the next item for discussion is the centralized platform for UIC.
So that's again for me. I'm wondering if I can share my screen because I also have a presentation. Thank you. Um, okay. So I've been coming up with this initiative basically since the beginning when I first joined UIC. So it's a central platform for not just UIC but all of the U of I schools. So we're going to talk about why we need it, the features, ideas I think should be included in here, and the development process. Well, that's too far ahead. Okay, so here's why here's like kind of the problems with like students are not really living the full college experience, especially us freshmen. We feel kind of like a little bit disconnected from one another and from the school in general. Um, and something I found um, kind of the forms of communication is inconsistent. Organizations have found their ways of communication through GroupMe, WhatsApp, Slack, Instagram, Discord, messages, or even just through email. But the problem with this is that you know all of these platforms are something that most students don't really use on a daily basis, like GroupMe or like maybe even Discord. And not all of these students are active on social media such as Instagram. And yep, and some students don't even check their emails a lot. So the solution I believe is a platform that everyone has and will make students feel included and connected with the school and with one another. So it's going to be a one-stop place for everything. It'll be a place to message your friends and people in your organizations. You'll be able to know what other students are doing, and as well as staying updated on school announcements and organization announcements. So it keeps everything together in this one platform. So I believe that this platform will build a sense of community among students because it's more than just a messaging app like what you see in GroupMe where it's just pure messaging. It'll be a place social, and through this it'll build more school spirit because this platform will be made by UIC and for the students. And in a way, it will prompt students to join organizations or clubs, hopefully, because hopefully organizations will be active on this platform. And through that, students can find interest in joining a club. So it's made for students. So it's going to be more professional than Instagram, yet more social than LinkedIn. So it's kind of like in between these two platforms. So on Instagram, you already are following people you know, hobbies, accounts, celebrities, meme pages, and all of those are distractions. and you're not really focused on like following your organizations or clubs, and you can sometimes miss informations that are posted on these social medias. And in addition to that, many students don't regularly use Gram or have Snapchat. So this platform will solve that. It'll be easier to connect with one another and with your organization or club you're a part of, and it'll contain the best features available in other apps, combining it into one. Going on to here. So this platform will be all a student would need to communicate and potentially be productive. And it'll be available on all devices. So it's not a problem if you don't have your phone with you, but you have your laptop. The design. So I believe they'll adopt a Twitter-like feed in this app where you can look at announcements, posts from students or clubs. And the group chats will adopt a Discord-like layout. So there's like two parts to this platform. Why I say Discord, because I like the little tabs you can have if you look at the image. You can see there's different channels for different topics of discussion. Files, UIC students will already have an account if they're registered, and organizer outside of UIC wants to create an account, they can request one from UIC, and then they can create their group in the platform. So you can add students as friends and add students, your friends to group chats just by searching their name. So this eliminates the need for like asking for phone numbers to like join GroupMe or sending links. You can just do it straight from the app. Add your members. So yeah. So posts and messages. As a user, you can post posts or send direct messages to other students and to group chats. There's going to be two types of group chats: groups, which are created by you personally, and organizations are like a more official club by UIC that's recognized by UIC, and it will do a little bit more. So going on to the feed, again, I have the image of the Twitter feed because that's what it'll kind of look like. You'll be able to post messages, pictures, links, attachments, like documents or files. And you can do more, like do polls, like what you can do on Twitter. You can also post other content, so like you can repost other students' posts, look at UIC announcements, and you can also see what your club is posting on the feed. So group chats and DM. So again, I added pictures of what like it'll look like on this app, this platform. The direct messages will look like the messages, like pretty standard stuff. You can send direct messages to students and files, documents, pictures, and posts to students, just like you can do on Instagram. You can send posts to other people. And then groups are just, again, created by a student, but you can communicate with more than one. And in the organization, so here's where it gets a little bit different from a group. It's more official. It's recognized by UIC. You can make a post that appears on the feed, which is something you can't do in a group chat. So you can post something and it'll show up on the members' feeds. You can also send that post as an email. So there'll be an option to send the post as an email. So if you're not on the platform, you can still see it in your email. So in that way, any updates or announcements from a club or organization, it won't be missed. And admins can join people that joined the club just by having their name. So going on to the development, how we can make this work. So I met with a guy named Jesse Banwar. He's a user experience consultant at Deloitte. I think it's a company that develops apps and websites such as this. And he lives in LA, so Deloitte is a LA-based company, I believe. And he's a UIC alumni, former university ambassador president. So he's told me that it'll take about 9 months to develop, and a budget of $1.25 million, which is a lot. But this is the estimated cost at Deloitte. This is how much it would cost if we were to make it with Deloitte. So this will include like Deloitte already have a team that and such. So that's the set cost for from Deloitte. But then he told me that it will take a team of 8 developers, 2 designers, and a project manager. So that's what it'll take to create this app. And as for the cost, again, 1.25 million is cost estimated at Deloitte. So it might be less or more from that cost. So we can have students in related majors work on this, have an incentive that this experience can go on their resume / portfolio. I'm sure they'd be happy to have that in their resume because this is experience and something that will be a lasting impact. And we can collect funds from the University of Illinois campuses because I don't believe UIC alone can shoulder the costs needed to create a platform like this. So I believe that if we have the support of the other University of Illinois schools, we can make this happen because this platform is made for all of the U of I schools. So moving forward, I don't intend for this to be made right away, obviously. So I just want to build support, gain feedback on how this could work from you guys, figure out how we can get the resources needed to create this platform, and we could start by introducing this idea to the College of Engineering / Computer Science, and meet with CSI. So I already kind of spoken with the director of CSI, asked him if they would fund a platform like this, and he said no because there's other there's other messaging apps already used by UIC, and so that will kind of create a duplicate platform. But my rebuttal to that is we don't use those platforms. Like those are pretty much useless. And with this platform, it'll be more widely used. And yeah. So any feedback? That's the end of my presentation. I went a little bit fast because I know it's getting late.
Okay, well, thank you for the presentation, Matthew. You really went out with this presentation, so thank you for that. Does anyone have any comments, questions, or suggestions?
Hi, Matthew. So, first of all, fantastic presentation. I think this idea is really revolutionary, and it really help everyone if we can get it implemented. So I had a couple of questions while noticing in your presentation. The number one is integration issues, if any. Do you foresee like any issues or what challenges do you see when we kind of showcase this and present this to other campuses?
Yeah, so integrating this into like a student's life, I don't think really it would be that difficult because when as a freshman, when we come here to UIC, we already have to use new platforms like Blackboard. Like that's a completely new platform that we have to use, right? So this would be the same thing. It'll be like when you get enrolled at UIC, you'll have this platform, and if you want to join a group, you can. This will be the app where all the communication at UIC will happen. So it'll prompt students to use this, and yeah.
Okay, very interesting. And you mentioned the price of $1.25 million. Obviously, that is a lot. How do you plan on getting those resources together?
Well, I believe we should talk to the CSI, try to get them on board to support this and fund this. I don't believe that the $1.5 million is like the cost. I think it'll be much lower than that, especially if we have student developers working on this. We can pay them at a much lower cost because I'm not saying we'll cheap them out, but if they're doing this for the school, like that's kind of what I meant by the incentive, like doing this for the school and such.
Right, that makes sense. And one final question for me: an app with this much processes and this much usage as we hope it will get, obviously it will require maintenance from time to time. What costs can we expect from that?
I had not looked into the maintenance cost. Actually, that is something I just thought of while I was making this presentation.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I also had a question, Matthew. It kind of goes off of what Mohammed said, but you mentioned that students would be automatically added to this, to this platform with the creation of their student account and the ID and stuff. So then
Yes.
my question would be, who would be adding that? And then that would probably also be a cost. So how could we cover that cost?
So I guess we can have a director for this app, but also I think there are people here at UIC that run like platforms such as this. I know for instance for Snap the scholarship um platform where you can find scholarships. I know the director of scholarship handles that. So I think there is a person like who's kind of in charge of like running platforms like this, and maybe that person can be in charge of running this. But as for cost, I'm not quite sure about that.
Thank you. And then another, this is more so a suggestion, but how would you feel about potentially, um, spreading this out to students and asking them for their opinion, kind of like a referendum? Um, but I know referendums happen during elections, and we don't have any coming up elections until the spring. So this is not just for you, but for anybody here. How can we push this out to students to ask for their opinion?
Yes, so yeah, I have showed this to some of my friends, and I think I think they just agreed with me to that this platform would be a great idea to connect with other people, because as I said in the beginning, um like the connection with one another is very low. Um, so yeah, how we can spread this is just by like I think we could I have a document we can share this with students, to ask them to read it and what they think about it. I'll share that document in the chat.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions?
I have a suggestion and kind of comment. So for CSI, I know that UIC uses UIC Connection. That's kind of like the application or the program that we have. The webpage, I think, the webpage that we use in order to connect all of the organizations, all of those organizations out there. And I know that CSI uses that um, for forms for everything. My suggestion would be maybe instead of creating a whole new app or a whole new program, you're able to like do the same thing, maybe contact them and see if we can make UIC Connection, that is something that we already have, into something more easier for all of us to use, because that's something that I think all the students have to use eventually, and that's what you use for like um, the involvement fair, which is how you get involved into other clubs. So I think UIC Connection is great. It has a lot of things that work and a lot of things that don't work. So maybe using the students, maybe using this the people you contacted with to make UAC Connection stronger, especially if you want to make it like an app like we can have on our phones. I think that would be great, because I agree that UAC Connection is really hard to use, but maybe instead of spending $1.25 million in this, we can like fix what we have. Maybe just a suggestion. Uh, but yeah, amazing presentation.
Thank you. And yeah, thank you for your suggestion. I like that. I think I will talk to uh anyone at CSI if I have the chance to talk to them about that.
Um, Along the same lines, there's also the UIC app that's kind of has everything. So maybe if this is something that's harbored within that, that could also be a good way to do it. Just because I know one of the issues that I've run into, even with like the mental health stuff, is that UIC has a lot, but it's just all very like siloed, and everything is kind of housed in different spaces. So you're totally right. Like a centralization would be really nice. But I would definitely keep in mind kind of bringing together the things that do exist, like Daniela was saying. But overall, really nicely done.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Well, if there are no more comments, thank you guys for listening to me. If you have any questions, if you want to like help me work on this project, I'll drop my email down in the chat.
Yep, thank you. Make sure to keep us updated on this. Like, it's just a really, really big, really cool initiative. Um, okay, so our next item for discussion is the Ruth George Memorial.
Yes. Hi guys. So what I wanted to discuss today in today's meeting with the counseling center, they wanted me to bring this up to you guys. Um, so their director knew that we will be discussing um, like what kind of event or initiative can we do for Ruth George, and their director asked them to get a feel of how the community, or like to ask how the community is feeling to do something that is needed. And they so they asked me to contact Delta Epsilon Mu, that's the frat that she was part of, and Indian Student Association. And yeah, so my question is basically, if you guys know like what type of initiative the community is in need of, and if like I heard Hannah mention the fundraiser that the frat is doing, so I was gonna contact them today to initiate a meeting to see where we could like participate with them, like with what, and what we could help them with. But yeah. Like if
Yeah.
anyone has heard anything yet, awesome. Great. I was just hoping you would like speak because you know what I'm talking about. Thanks.
Yeah, most
Go ahead.
definitely. I think, like you mentioned, like the most important thing that in my view, we could have like through the counseling center is spaces for healing, whether that be spaces for people to grieve collectively in small groups, or however really like they do their process, because obviously I don't know enough about counseling. But one important thing that I do want to talk about is like I've been speaking with the chancellor's office a little bit about this. And so specifically like Vice Chancellor Rex Tolliver has been working with Your George's family, as well as Delta Epsilon Mu. And so they do plan to have an outdoor memorial ceremony that should take place in November, as far as all of their plans have gotten so far. Of course, that might change given the kind of circumstances around COVID that we're facing with the third wave right now. But that should be confirmed soon. Beyond that, they're also planning on installing a physical memorial, again in consultation with the family. So this would consist of a plaque as well as a tree that'll be placed outside of Student Center East. So that will likely be unveiled in the spring semester. So that's the two plans that they have right now. I just wanted to add that in as well.
That is all from Student Affairs?
Yes.
Okay, so I should contact Rex, I guess, or Mr. Tolliver. But another thing, so the counseling center actually does not have a concrete plan, and they were just asking, like they first want to know what other people are planning, and what they want. Like they do want to plan something, but they don't want it to be specifically about the frat. Like even though she was part of it, and we definitely want their contribution. They told me like we want to make it about the community because there are also other students who have been affected by the event or like the incident, but like who never met Ruth George. So yeah, so like what do you think of that? Of like not making of like making it about community in general. Do you think that student affairs office like just collaborating with them would be enough? And the fundraiser, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think both would be perfect. Like I think like speaking with Vice Chancellor Tolliver, of course, would be important to just make sure that we're aware of everything that he's working on right now. And then in tandem, like really just creating spaces to collectively grieve with the counseling center. I think that those two things in itself would be huge from our side. We also like can't like run a fundraiser, of course, just given the way our organization works. But like I'm glad that they have that going on for themselves.
I mentioned this while I was giving my report, but I also really think that we should kind of take this time to also be super informative about like what exactly is being done, because I know like last year, kind of when this was happening, a lot of questions and concerns about security existed. And I think one of the best things that we can do is answer some of those to the best of our ability.
Thank you. Are there any comments, questions, suggestions about this?
So the event the Delta Epsilon Mu is doing for Ruth George is going to be on November 23rd from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And I'm not sure if they have sent out a flyer yet, but they will be most likely. So just keep that in mind if you want to attend it.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay, so if there are no more comments, then we can move on to the next order of business, which is announcements. Does anybody have any announcements?
I do have an announcement this Friday because it's like a Halloween event. SEB is hosting a drive-in movie in the parking lot 6, which is like on campus and it's completely free for all students. So if you're interested, you can RSVP in SEB's page. And it's free and they're showing Us, the movie Us.
Thank you. Do you think you could send the link with your email, please? Thank you. Any questions about this? Any other announcements?
Yeah, just one. I just learned today that if you guys are interested, Headspace is actually only $9.99 for a student subscription for a year. So if you're stressed out about finals or midterms or anything going on, COVID in general, being alone, it's only $9.99. So I'll put the link in the chat if anybody cares.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Any questions about this? Okay, any other announcements?
I have one. I'm a writing center tutor, so you guys can book me on Tuesdays.
Thank you. Any questions about this? Any other announcements? Okay, so if there are no more announcements, then we can move on to the next order of business, which is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded to adjourn this meeting. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All that opposed, please say nay. Does anyone abstain? Okay, the ayes have it, and this meeting is now adjourned.